Today we are truly joined by greatness. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome Sir Les himself. How are you? Whoa. Before we get into this one, to celebrate the launch of today's episode with Sir Les, we're giving you the chance to win a signed Newcastle United home shirt from last season when they were in the Champions League. To be in with a chance of winning, simply like the video, leave a comment below, and of course subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Plus, for bonus entries, head over to TikTok and Instagram at Jontys House for an extra chance of winning this very shirt. You look $1 million, as to be expected. How is life? Are you well?
Yeah, life is good. Can't complain. Try not to complain anyway, because no one listens, so I'll just get on with it. Like, you know, life's good.
You've achieved so much, both on and off the pitch. Are you happy? When you look at yourself in the mirror, who is the person that you see, and is that of satisfaction to you?
I don't know if I'm ever satisfied. You can't always want more, you always want to do more, always want to achieve more, you always wanted to have achieved more. So I don't know if I'm always looking in the mirror and think, yeah, I'm happy with my lot, but I'm in a good place.
Who is Les Ferdinand for you?
Who is Les Ferdinand? It's a really good question. I've never really debated that. Who is Les Ferdinand? Because I am just me, and who is that? How would people describe me, or how would I describe myself? Just easygoing, fun-loving, just enjoy life and get on it as best I can.
When I asked you that question as to who is Les Ferdinand, what are the kind of pictures that come to your mind? Because you offered so much to people in terms of memories, emotions, the feelings that you gave people with what you did on the pitch, but then likewise, who have you become since football? I mean, I remember the game for Grenfell and the kind of icon that you have since become, even more so away from football.
Yeah, and the one thing I'd like to say, and I believe, I don't think I've ever changed, even right from the beginning. I don't think I've changed who I am as a person. I've always been the same person. And it's really funny. I did a talk. I was up in Newcastle a few days ago, and I did a talk for someone, and they said to me, "Where did you get? Who was your biggest influence in your life?" And I was on stage with John Beresford and Keith Gillespie, and they both said their parents. And yeah, for me it was my parents, but probably the biggest influence was my granddad. And the reason being was because he always used to say to me, he used to say to me, "Son, just remember one thing in life." He say, "There's no one in this life that's better than you." And I was like, "Oh, great." And he went, "No, but hang on. And there's no one in this life that you're better than. So just treat everybody with respect and as you find them." And that's kind of like how I've lived my life, and that's who I am. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I'm better than anyone, and I don't think anyone's better than me. So, that's kind of like been my motto in life.
What is there for your advice, if you will, or even that perhaps that one anecdote that you would say to other budding footballers, 15, 16 years of age, who, I mean, we were talking off camera a little bit earlier on. I spent about 5 or 6 years within agencies, and you see agents kind of gather players at academy ages and just go, "Well, I'll have everybody because everyone needs an agent, and if one comes off, brilliant, and that'll suit me." But then they push to one side the other 15 players that they've got, and almost that time of 15, 16 when they are the person at school, they are the be-all and end-all out of all their friends because they say they're going to be a footballer. Not many go and make it. What is that kind of conversation? What does that look like for you?
That conversation for me is make sure you're doing what you enjoy and you're doing it for the right reasons, because I think there's a lot of young men and women out there now who want to become footballers because of what football brings rather than the fact that they love the sport. When I was playing football, I ended up making it because I loved playing football, not because I thought I was going to be a professional footballer. I was playing non-league football. I came into the game really late. When all my other friends had stopped going, because I suppose that footballer dream they felt had passed them by, they stopped going and started doing other things. I carried on doing it just because I loved it.
Were you close to giving it up?
No, not at all, because I love playing football. So what I'm saying to you, it wasn't a case of I was giving it up because I didn't think I was going to become a professional footballer. No, I just wanted to play to the highest level I could in non-league football. And to do that meant I had to train Tuesday and Thursday, play on a Saturday. And I love doing that, and that's what I would have carried on doing had I not made it as a professional footballer. But because I put the dedication and time into doing that, I found myself in a position where I became lucky because I was spotted doing that, and ended up signing as a professional footballer. So when I talk about doing it for the love rather than what you think football can bring you, we live in an era now where everybody looks at the trappings. You know, I went into a training ground a little while ago, and one of the coaches had the kids off from school, so they had all the young players in. And one of them asked me, "Did you have a helicopter?" One of them asked me, "Did you have a Ferrari?" Next one asked me, "Do you live in a mansion?"
Yeah.
And the fourth one asked me, "Do I have a model girlfriend?"
And he went yes to all of them.
those were my first 4 questions. And I said to them, "Which one of you wants to be a professional footballer?" And they all put their hands up. "Yeah, I'm going to be a professional. I'm going to be a professional." So how comes no one asked me a question about football? It was all about the trappings of what football brings, and that's my worry at the moment in today, that people look at what football can bring you rather than what.
I always remember we did a feature at school some time ago, and with Benik Afobe, and Benik was talking about when he was coming through, he had to go on loan to Huddersfield, and it was when Huddersfield hadn't been into the Premier League, and their facilities had gotten a lot better, and it was when he was at Arsenal, and he's going, every single other kid in the academy, every single young player wanted to go to Thierry Henry's house, and they wanted a photo with XYZ, and they wanted to be in the Arsenal bubble type thing, and I think he said he was one of probably 2 or 3 who went, you know what, I'm going to go out on loan, and I'm going to go and, I know it's not roughing it, but he said, I'm going to go to this kind of place that is completely the opposite of Arsenal, and Benik obviously went on to have a great career. Is that frustrating for you to see, especially when you see so many talented players and they're going, well, all they're bothered about is getting that picture on Instagram?
You know, the problem is that society, they're not alone. You know, footballers are just part of society, and we're in that instant gratification era where everything you look at is instant. You know, Instagram. You know, you want something to eat, you can instantly order it. You want to buy something, you instantly order it. So I don't blame them. They're just in that society that we're in at the moment, where everybody sees fame as the be all and end all. What
do clubs need to do to combat that? Can they combat that?
I don't know how you do, because everyone's on, you know, Instagram, everyone's on, you know, and that's the whole reason why I've never been involved in any of these social media platforms, because you see people, I've seen it myself, see just people flicking through these things. They spend hours just flicking through what's going through social media, and, you know, how do you stop kids from being involved in that? If you're a football club, how do you ban it?
Well, like you said, you didn't give up, you played for the love of playing football. When you get that first pro deal, what's that moment like? What's that emotion like?
It's kind of strange. It really is, because as much as you're elated and you think, wow, I've just signed a professional contract, there's that level of imposter syndrome that comes in. I think we all have it at some stage. No matter what we do in life, we have this imposter syndrome. Should I really be here? Do you know what I mean? You go through school and there's players that people talk about saying, he was much better, he was this, but he was that, never quite make it. And then you make it, and I suppose you go through. So there was a real mixture of emotions. As much as I was elated to become a professional footballer, there, you know, you have these doubts that creep into your mind as well.
How do you combat that? Is it about having that support network around you, your family, friends?
Yeah, you the right people around you. You know, my friends. You know, I kept the same group of friends that I had while I was at school and while I was playing non-league football. So, you know, I always kept my feet firmly on the ground. Never kind of like let it get away with me. I felt privileged to be in the position I was in, but at the same time, never believed I was anything different than what I was.
I always forget, you know, that you went to Turkey. I always forget that you went to. I have a friend of mine, and we always pick probably 2 or 3 abroad away days every single year, and we'll tick off some obscure places. And obviously, you want to do the whole trips to Argentina and so on. Turkey is on that bucket list. If I'm guaranteed that I would make it out alive, would I do that? I mean, what was that experience like for you?
You're talking about now, yeah?
Correct.
I went to Turkey in 1989.
Right.
You know, and Turkey in 1989 is a very different country to what Turkey is today. But I always say to people, it was the making of me as a footballer. and a man. It was the first time I was away from home on my own. And I've gone to a country that I knew nothing about. I often say the only thing I knew about Turkey was the film Midnight Express, and that's not the greatest advert for Turkish tourism if you was thinking about going to Turkey. But I had a fantastic time, so much so that I wanted to stay. The club tried to get me to stay. I wanted to stay because I had such a good time. As I said, it was the making of me as a footballer and as a man. You know, Gordon Mill, who was the manager at Turkey at the time, at the Turkish side at the time, Besiktas, he was brilliant for me. I owe him a lot in terms of the work and the time that he put in with me. And when I came back to England, I came back a kind of like renewed player, believing that I could score goals in professional football.
We sat down with Harry not long ago, Harry Redknapp, and he says he took the Jordan job because he was really looking forward to managing Jordan. But he always tells a story about, he said, we won a game and everybody was singing, shouting, chanting, you name it, and he's just sat there going, I have no clue what on earth was going on. Did you have any moments where you just think, this is a bit surreal, this?
Yeah, I think the first day getting there, and I got to Turkey, and Gordon Mill said to me, right, we're going to go to a hotel, and we're going to relax for a few hours, and then what we're going to do, he said, we're going to go down and have a training session. The following day we were going to Germany on pre-season. So he said, what we're going to do is we're going to go down, you're going to meet all the players, we just do a training session and some of the supporters come and see the new acquisitions for the start of the season. And then he said, and then we go, he was giving me the itinerary, and then we go to Germany tomorrow and blah, 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 blah. So okay, no problem. So anyway, we go down to, we have a bite to eat, relax for a little bit, and then we go down to the stadium. And the stadium was absolutely packed.
Yeah.
Jam-packed. I said, I thought you said it was just a little training session, but it's like a massive carnival. And all the supporters come to see what the acquisitions are and what the squad is going to look like for next season. And loads of different rituals go on and so on and so forth. And it was that was a real eye-opener, because I'd always had football as the national sport in this country, and we were the leaders in terms of that. And then I went and saw a different side of what fanatical means.
When you say rituals?
Oh, well, you know, there was a...
No one's getting sacrificed on...
There was a lamb...
in the centre circle, are they?
There was a lamb that was sacrificed at the beginning. We didn't see that. It was already there. It was lying in. And what they do, they take the blood and do the sign of the cross on your forehead and on your boots to the players that they think are going to be... no, they do that with all the players. And then what they do, they give doves to a few of the players that they think are going to be special for them that season. And I got a dove, and I remember going to the centre circle, throwing the dove up in the air. It's supposed to fly away, but it went like this, bang, and hit the deck. And I thought, God, I might be in a bit of trouble here. So I picked it up, threw it up even higher. Did exactly the same thing, come down and hit the deck, and I was like, the whole stadium goes quiet. And then the kit man runs on, pulls the wings apart, and goes, try now. So I threw it up, flew away, everyone started cheering. I thought, okay,
go for that.
I thought I might be on a plane home, but pretty sharpish.
Well, you had a very good season there, didn't you? So
yeah,
it was nothing bad luck.
No, it was a great year for me in terms of goals. I think it was 21 in 33 games in all competitions, 14 in the league. Unfortunately, we a bit like my Newcastle days, we finished second to Fenerbahce, but we won the equivalent of the FA Cup. So yeah, it was a really good year for me.
And like you say, even regardless of on the pitch, what you would achieve off the pitch, the things that it did for you as a person was quite something.
Don't forget, for your chance to win this signed Newcastle United home shirt, simply like this video, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel. Plus, for bonus entries, head over to our Instagram and TikTok channels, click the competition post and you could be a winner.
Well, you mentioned Newcastle. Then, of course, you get that move. Ginola, Beardsley, yourself. Talk me through that time. How do you look back on your years at Newcastle?
Some regret. And when I say some regret, it was like probably the best period in my footballing career in terms of the style of football that we played and how we played. The regret is that we didn't win the league. You know, when we was 12 points clear, and a little bit of complacency came into our game, and you know, I wasn't scoring as many goals as I'd done in the early part of the season. And I think when you any team that wins the Premier League at stages of that season, you need to be a bit pragmatic. You sometimes need to go away and win 1-0. We didn't have that in our locker. If you scored 1, we were going to score 2. If you scored 2, we were going to score 3. And inevitably, that doesn't always happen. And certainly the second half of the season, we struggled to do that.
Do you think that's, again, down to the fact, I mean, you had so many stars, you had so many names, yourself arguably one of, if not the best 9 in the world at the time. Did it eventually get to that? Did you have Asprilla came in as well?
Yeah, Asprilla came in halfway through the season.
Notta, by all accounts.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, correct. Okay, we'll leave that one there.
Yeah.
But I guess for the manager trying to fit everybody in, did you feel like everyone was trying to get appeased at the time, that he couldn't drop anyone? You were changing systems a lot.
Well, it was interesting because what a lot of people don't talk about was what had been our real firepower in the early parts of the season. Janola down one side, Keith Gillespie down the other. Keith Gillespie got injured, done his hamstring and his knee, and was out for a period of time. And so Asprilla came into the side, and it's kind of played in the same role as what Peter Beardsley played. And so the manager pushed Peter out right, because Peter was adaptable and could play anywhere, so tried to push him out right. But that was never going to be Peter's position, going down the outside and crossing balls. So we kind of lost that little bit of momentum we had in terms of what we were doing. And so the side had to get changed. And unfortunately, it didn't have the same sort of like the same firepower that we had early part in the season.
Have you got a favourite goal?
What played for Newcastle? I always say probably the first goal I scored. When anybody asked me that question, the simple reason was I always knew the number 9 was an iconic shirt, but I didn't realise how iconic it was until I scored that first goal. And I always say to people, if there was a roof on the stadium, it would have come off, because they'd be so happy to see their number 9 score on their opening day of the season, the new number 9 score on
Which is what so many clubs are after, in particular modern football.
Exactly.
Again, looking back a few at your goals, and you've scored some great goals. I always mark you down for, it's the best thing that I ever see with a big number 9. There was 2 centre halves, both going to attack the ball, and a ball, I can't remember for the life of me who it's against. It's whipped in from the left, and yet you're rising through the middle of the 2 defenders. You must have scored so many goals where it should be a 15% chance that you're even winning the ball. Was that the type of stuff that you strive for, those moments?
It was because part of it was as a kid I was told young black men don't head the ball. Right? So I went, okay, you know what, I'm going to show you that I can hit the ball. And so we had a coach at QPR called Roger Cross, who used to stay out with me every single day. And Roger was good in the area himself when he was a player. And he would work with me every single day because he knew I wanted to. So he'd cross balls, he'd have 20 balls crossed from the right, 20 balls crossed from the left. If it weren't 20, it was 10. And I just used to work on my timing, work on my jump and work on my heading. And until, so what you saw was just what I practiced. And I got to a stage where, I used to say to Keith, I used to say to Dave, whoever was crossing the balls, Andy Sinton, Trevor Sinclair, Andrew Impey, would say, don't ever look for me. Just put it in an area and I'll go and attack it.
I'll find you.
And that's what they used to do. I was very fortunate with the wingers that I played with. They would just put the ball in an area and I'd go and attack it.
And what was the manager like, Kevin?
Kevin was effervescent. He was brilliant to work under. I often say, had we had tactics, had we worked on tactics, it may have been a different outcome.
That seems such a crazy thing to say.
It does, I know, because for the neutral, we were great to watch. Everyone wanted to watch us, and playing in it as a centre forward was brilliant for me. But in terms of sometimes when I look back on it and think, if we'd have done this a little bit better or been a little bit more pragmatic here, we might have been able to scrape it across the line. But we weren't able to. And Kevin enjoyed the way we played. The fans enjoyed the way we played. I think the front 6 enjoyed the way we played. It was just the defenders that sometimes.
For God's sake, this lot again. No one's cracking back here.
Yeah.
Was there any team talks that stick out? He seems like he could dish either one way or the complete other. There was who was telling me about a Neil Warnock one when he was in charge of Huddersfield, and I almost think I could see Kevin Keegan doing this, and he went into Huddersfield when they were really poor and they were losing games of football, and it was literally you needed to change the culture to get anything out of this. You could put Jose Mourinho, anyone in there, and anything else tactically is not going to work. And Huddersfield had a pink away kit at the time, and they were going to Millwall away, and they were struggling. And they said it was one of the coaching staff who said the story, and Warnock's walked in and gone, fucking hell, boys. I'm all right because I've got my Italian suit on. I'm looking good, and don't worry, after this, it's international break, I'm going to go to my holiday home, so I'm all right. Don't do this for me. Do this for you because you're coming to Millwall in a pink kit. So all the best. And he literally just left them to it, and they won 1-0. But it was that kind of change of tact with them that seemed to change that dressing room culture. Any standout from a Keegan like this?
Keegan was very, very, very. Managers sometimes go through opposition teams and say, right, this one's playing, this one's doing this. He expected you as a team to know who he was playing against, and so he would have expected you to prepare in a way that you needed to prepare to play against who he was playing against. The one that stands out is when we beat Man United 5-0 at home. All he did, he walked in, and everyone's waiting for these words of wisdom, and he just went, you owed them out there. Because Man United had beaten us 1-0 at home the year before. We'd absolutely backed them. They beat us 1-0 the year before at home, humiliated us in the Charity Shield, and our supporters stayed behind on both occasions and clapped us off the pitch. So on that particular day, he just came in, and that was his team talk. You owed them out there. And then he turned around and walked off. You were one of the most enjoyable number 9s to watch of all time, no doubt about it. There has been a time in recent seasons we've lost that. We've lost 9s. Are we getting it back a little bit now? You the Haalands, your Solankis abroad, you're going, your Gyökeres, your Vlavic's. Is it coming back? We're going back to that, you think? I'm sincerely hoping so. You know, everyone says to me, what happened to the traditional number 9? And I say, Ronaldo, Messi, Henry, Mbappe, you know, all these Salah, all these boys that could come off the line and score 20-odd, 30-odd goals a season. People started to...
You can still do that as a 9. You did.
No, what I'm saying, number 9s used to do it. That was part of what they did. But then once the wingers, you know, these guys coming off the line and started doing it, people started wanting to be them. They didn't want to be taking the heads and the heading balls and getting knocked in the back of their head by centre halves and stuff like that. So much before I'd play with their back to the line, get the ball and then come in, and, you know, inverted wingers now, you know, the left-sided one playing on the right and the right one playing on the left. You go, okay, what came first? The fact that people don't cross the ball anymore, or people that couldn't hit the ball anymore. So, you know, it's... But as you said, Haaland and the boys, you know, Solanke, Harry Kane's still about. The boys that can play as traditional number 9s, we're starting to see that creep back into the game. And I always think we go through cycles in football, you know, and this is a cycle that we've been through. And now someone's going to need to do something to combat it. And then some other manager will come up with an idea and maybe playing up front again.
Because it used to be nobody wanted to be Gary Neville. And now it can't. It should never be nobody wants to be a Les Ferdinand. It doesn't quite work the same. You just said potentially go back to playing a 2 up top. Who was the best you played with?
I mean, we only had one season together, but Alan was as a traditional sort of like 2 number 9s who people felt couldn't work together. You know, our one and only season together at Newcastle, we ended up top goal scorers in the Premier League. So we proved a few people wrong, and thoroughly enjoyed my time. You know, Klinsmann's up there with one of the best that I've played with, but Alan would be as an out-and-out number.
It's not a bad two to say that. It's not bad at all. Yeah. Best centre half played against?
Well, probably the one that used to give me the toughest time was Tony Adams. I used to have some real tussles with Tony and Martin Keown and stuff, but that was when George Adam really sort of like regimented in terms of how they played. But yeah, probably the toughest. But to be fair, I'm a little short arse really. So every time I came up to play against the centre half, they was always a little bit bigger than me. So one of the things I loved doing was like saying to the goalkeeper, again, don't pick me out, just put it on his head. Yeah. And I'll go and win it, and I'll go and win it, and they go, how the hell's he got up there? You know what I mean? So always, you know, I had them once I was able to do that.
Is it wrong / very difficult to compare players between generations? I mean, so often you're talking about the age-old debate of your Pelé and Maradona against your Messis and Ronaldos and so on. There was an interview with Virgil van Dijk not too long ago, and Virgil was asked, could you have stuck it out back then and vice versa? Is it wrong to do that? Can you make that comparison?
It's really difficult because the game has changed, and the game keeps evolving and changing, and so what you was able to do back in, you know, when I played, you know, the early part of my career, defenders could come through the back of you and, you know,
referees not even blowing a whistle,
tackle you around your waist and all that. The game's now almost like a non-contact sport, so it's really different in the way that people do things. You know, you see fullbacks almost as midfield players now and stuff, so it's evolved in a different way, and so it's really difficult to say, you know, Messi is better than this, you know, would Messi have survived in this time and that time. You know, we just have to enjoy it for what it is. The boys that are doing what they're doing now, fantastic. The boys that did what they did back then, fantastic.
You'd have had it against Virgil, wouldn't you?
I'd love to have played against Virgil. He's a very, very good defender, but then that was the art of it. You knew who you was coming up against, and you'd look at his game and think, what could I do to combat or to get the better of someone like Virgil? And you'd have to really have your thinking cap on, because you go, right, he's good in the air, he's quick on the ground. So what am I going to do against him to try and, you know, eliminate that? And that was part of working out your game against you know, some of the best players that you played against.
We're going to have a quick go of number 9s, hit or miss. Hit means you're having them. Miss, not quite my cup of tea. I'm going to say some names for you.
Go on then.
Raúl Jiménez.
Hit.
Ollie Watkins.
Hit.
Matthias Cunha. Not necessarily an out and out.
Yeah, and that's why I debated, because I don't see him as a number 9, but I do. I love the way he plays.
It's an interesting one. Gabriel Jesus.
Not a 9. So as a 9, I'd say miss.
Alexander Isak.
Hit.
Solanke.
Even though he's not. You know, yeah, sorry. No.
There's a debate on all of them.
I'm talking to myself. Solanke hit. Yeah.
Hit. Wissa, Brentford.
Again, I don't see him as a number 9.
Okay. Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, I like him. Like him. Just not. He's not been a hit though, has he? Do you know what I mean? He is a number 9, but he hasn't been a hit.
Haaland.
Yeah, he's a hit. Still a hit.
Still got time. We'll come to City. Calvert-Lewin. Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
As a number 9,
is it perhaps
he's a hit
environment?
It's just the injuries that he's had. Yeah, if you was going to use him as a number 9, he can play the role as a number 9. It's just the injuries, and that's probably what I'm debating over at the moment.
Probably says the same for Evan Ferguson.
Yeah, again, you know, you look at him and want to say hit, but not played enough games to.
Now, this man has been the saviour of fantasy football for me all season. Chris Wood. What a player. What a player, Les.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, he's been around for years, and as a number 9, he's a hit, you know, because he does what his team needs him to do for it.
Miguel Antonio?
The only reason I'm not going to say hit is because I don't think he's a number 9.
Where would you play?
He's always been, he started as a fullback, then he's moved his way forward, He does an adequate job for West Ham. But I wouldn't say he's a number 9.
It always seems to be the case. I mean, West Ham, the list of forwards that they've signed, I think they've had about 15 in the last 2 seasons, it seems, and it always comes back to Mikel Antonio, which always says a great
and I feel really sorry for him in terms of, because if you was to ask him, I don't think that's where he wants to play. You know, as an out-and-out traditional number 9. I think he does it because he can do it, but then you look at the goals that comes with it. For a traditional number 9, you'd say he doesn't score enough goals, but I think it's unfair because it's not his position.
Finally, Nicholas Jackson, Chelsea.
I think in time he'll be a hit, and he's starting to show signs of that. He got a lot of stick last year, but people still forget he's still only 21, 22, isn't he? So he's got time, and I think in time he will be a major hit.
Don't forget, for your chance to win this signed Newcastle United home shirt, simply like this video, drop a comment below and subscribe to the channel. Plus, for bonus entries, head over to our Instagram and TikTok channels, click the competition post and you could be a winner.
Liverpool were absolutely fantastic on Sunday. Didn't allow City to breathe, and the manager said that in his press conference before. Give City the opportunity to pass the ball and move it around, they'll hurt you. And so, look, we've known Liverpool have been playing a high press all season, and that was never going to change on Sunday. And, you know, for the first half an hour of the game, well, I say half an hour, first 15, 20 minutes, I thought this could be anything here, you know what I mean? And it's usually,
it probably should have been.
It's usually Man City doing that to other teams, and so, yeah, you have to take your hat off and say Liverpool were fantastic.
He's done an unbelievable job so far, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's done.
Are you surprised at that? I mean, he's come in, not really tinkered too much. He seems to turn Gravenberch into one hell of a player in particular. Yeah,
do you know what? You look at Liverpool, and they've done their business extremely well in recent years. You know, Michael Edwards and his team. When you look at Klopp going in there, when he went in there, and what they've done with the players that they've signed, and how productive they've been. Shouldn't really surprise you that Arne Slot's gone in there and done what he's doing.
Van Dijk, Trent, Salah, all out of contract in the summer. What do Liverpool need to do? Are you surprised at where it's currently in the balance?
Yeah, you know, but like I said, Liverpool have been very clever and smart in what they've done in the past. I'm sure behind the scenes they're talking to these fellas, although I know Salah's come out and said like he's more out than he's in at the moment. But like I said, I have faith in what Liverpool have done in the past, and I'm sure they'll get it right again this time.
Which takes us to the one team nobody can stop talking about at the minute is Manchester City. No win for 7 games. They haven't necessarily looked like going places and turning teams over again. There has been that debate, well, there's no Rodri, Liverpool have had injuries, Van Dijk, similar things kind of happen. Is it almost a testament to where Manchester City are and what they've done, that as soon as something like this happens, it's like the world goes into meltdown? Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. You know, they've been the leading example for many a year now, and so when you're the leading example, when the cracks start to appear, if things don't quite go as they have been going, people will look for reasons for that, and will look to debate. And there'll be loads of debate that the midfielder is too old, they can't get around. Normally, Man City keep the ball that well that their midfield players don't have to chase back. But at the moment, you take Rodri out of their team, you take De Bruyne out of their team, Doku, who was on fire early part of the season, you take him out of the team. And you take 3 of the best players out of any team in the league, and they're going to have problems. You know, we're not used to seeing City have these problems, but they're going through it now, and like I said, everything cycles and everything evolves, and City are just going through a little bit of a crisis at the moment.
They'll be back?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
To another one of your former sides, Tottenham. Big fan of Big Ange?
Yeah, I am. Listen, we had a couple of years of the team not playing in a manner that we wanted to see. They're doing that now. I think there's more positives than negatives, although we're still struggling with that level of consistency that we'd like to see them have. That, for me, is not a footballing thing, that's a mental thing. And so, you can't have the result against Man City and then be totally the opposite a week later. Again, they've had a couple of injuries, but I think people are looking to see a level of consistency or performances. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting the performance to be like it was against Man City week in, week out, but it can't be a 10 and then a 4. Do you know what I mean? You've got to
beating
find
Villa,
balance.
lose to Ipswich,
Yeah.
beat Man City, lose to Palace.
Exactly. There's got to be a level of consistency that will take them into being a team that we can seriously talk about challenging for a top 4 place, challenging for the title. That's where, you know, Tottenham fans want to see Tottenham going, and I'm sure they got the right man in place to be able to progress the team to doing that. Just have to have a bit of patience.
Well, there's been a couple of managerial changes as well. Ruben Amorim's gone into United now, and another old friend of yours, Frankie Lampard, back in management at Coventry City. What do you make? Is it almost? I want to say he's so young in his managerial career, but does he need to prove that point now? Do you feel?
I think, you know, when he first came in at Derby, he did a really good job. Went on to Chelsea, and, you know, Chelsea reaped the benefits of some of the things that Frank done. Some of the players that he had to bring through, he couldn't spend at the time because they was under an embargo and stuff like that. So he had to blood some of the youngsters. Did a pretty good job, but then lost his job there. Didn't go too well for him at Everton. So he's got another opportunity here at Coventry, and I wish him all the best. And hopefully he can turn the fortunes of the club around, because they've got a decent squad. It's a shame that, you know, I watched him in recent years quite closely while my association was with Queen's Park Rangers, and to see them progress through the leagues to get to where they were, and unfortunately it just hit a bit of a plateau, and just needs a bit of a spike, and hopefully Frank can bring that to them.
One last managerial change, of course, comes in Thomas Tuchel taking over with England. He will step into post at the start of the new year. What do you make of that appointment, the right man?
Yeah, I think what you have to do is, you know, people often say they prefer an Englishman or a British manager managing the national side. England have showed in the past that they're not frightened to go abroad. You know, we've had Capello, we've had Sven-Goran Eriksson. So it didn't surprise me that they went for it. And I think, you know, some people were moaning about it, but I think if they'd gone with Klopp or they'd gone with Pep Guardiola, I don't think anyone would have moaned about it. So out of those three, okay, Tuchel for most people wouldn't have been the first choice, but he is foreign and he's got a great record. I just hope he does well.
Well, just finally, before we let you go, sticking with the FA, they've set themselves a stretch target of 30% of England's men's coaching staff, covering from the senior team all the way down to be of BAME backgrounds. Step in the right direction for you?
Yeah, it's taken too long to get there. Much too long. We've been talking about this debate since the day I came into football. I'm out of it now, and I've been out of it for a long time, and we're still having a debate. So yeah, for me, it's something that should have been done a long time. You can't, if you're the leading authority and organisation in business and you're talking about BAME, you've got to look at your staff and say, well, how many of our staff are in that category? And there's not many people in a position of authority of colour that work for the FA.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully, like you say, about time and finally step in that right direction. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. I know I've chased you for every time I try and speak to this man who's in Los Angeles. Then it was Bermuda.
Yes.
Have you got any more coming up?
No, I'm gonna be here for a little while. Christmas is coming.
Good man. We'll wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year as well, all the festivities, and thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Pleasure.